Hello everyone and welcome to the dev stream of Grey Zone Warfare. My name is Jakub, I'm the community manager here and I'm joined today by a very special guest, Johanny, welcome.
Thank you.
Johanny is our tech director and he's here to answer all your questions about the game's performance and about our optimization efforts, which are all things that are going to come a little bit later because at the very start of the stream I have a couple of things I need to say here.
Go ahead.
So first of all, I'm going to say what to expect on this stream, okay? So first off, Johanny is going to be talking about all the technical things that I know very little about, but hopefully this is going to be fruitful conversation somehow.
I'll try to keep it
Simple.
understandable.
Thank you, thank you. I
by
gave you the
anyone.
briefing, like explain it to me like you're like I'm a five-year-old, you know?
Yeah.
So,
We'll do a lot of that.
All right. And in the second part of the stream, something exciting is going to happen as well. Our lovely game designers, Marek and Petr, are going to come join us, and they're going to be talking about all the quality of life features and the changes in game flow for the update 0.3, Winds of War. So expect that in the second half. There is not any major big event that we're going to be playing here on the screens. We're just going to be playing the game. We're going to try to play, from what I heard, as much of the starter town as possible, only with shotguns. So we try to gamify it a little bit, but yeah, it is going to be mostly about interactions with you guys, with the chat. So they're going to be answering all your questions. So that's first things off the list. The second thing is, guys, we are trying to save a life. And I don't mean figuratively, I mean literally. There is a very sweet girl, 2-year-old girl called Madlenka. She's Czech. And I encourage you, if you are Czech, to visit a page which is going to appear somewhere below us here on the screen. It's called avalone.cz. That's it. So if you're Czech, or if you're thinking of doing a trip to Czech Republic, check out this webpage. And this girl, she needs a stem cells in order to survive. She has a very rare disease, and Madfinger Games is trying to raise awareness, and we're also donating a bunch of money to the non-profit organization to help this girl out, because she, unfortunately, at this point, she has 3 weeks. So the time is ticking.
Better be quick.
Better be quick. If you can, majority of the offices already are registered for the stem cell donors. I don't know if you know that even, which is super cool. So yeah, we're trying to do some good in the world also this way. The other thing that we're trying to do here is to support the veterans. Something that is an initiative that Rick is pushing quite successfully. We are communicating with a bunch of veterans agencies, and we're trying to offer an opportunity for veterans to enjoy themselves, and relax and have fun, and forget maybe about the traumatic events that they been through. So if you are a veteran, there is a special place for you on our Discord server. There's dedicated channels where you can chat with other veterans and give feedback for the game, because we are working with professionals to make sure that the game is as authentic as it can be. So with that out of the way, there is one last thing that I need to mention before we jump into your topics.
Fine.
And that is, we are starting to collect your applications for an experimental testing of 0.3. Big deal. We're thinking that in April, the experimental is going to start, and we are already collecting your guys' applications, like I said. So after the interview part of this stream, we're going to walk you through how exactly to apply. And Foxig here, who's walking behind us, has been very adamant that he wants to walk you through it step by step, because if you fail any one of these steps, you're done. You're not getting in, So Foxig is going to help us explain how to enter our major 0.3 testing phase, so when it becomes relevant. Yeah, application rejected. Yeah. All right, Johanny, welcome.
Tell me. Thank you.
Welcome.
Let's dive.
You said that you have some experience being on dev streams.
I do, yes.
That's very welcome change.
I hope I still retain some of the experience I had.
Yeah, as you can notice already, Johanny has a very cute accent. Where is that from?
France.
France.
I'm French.
Okay, so
Yes.
we are international company, of course. So
Yeah, you can stop wondering.
and we have even French people here. So
Even?
What do you mean? Okay, maybe something about yourself. Like, what is your role in the team, and
Right.
can you tell us a little bit more about your past
Bonjour.
experiences? Maybe what kind of games you worked on?
Yeah, totally. So I'm the tech director here, right? Like, so basically, I oversee the whole programming department that is working on Grayzone. We have a single project, so essentially, I oversee all the programmers and all the tech stuff that is happening in the company, right? So it can be IT, it can be the programmers on the project, DevOps team, servers, anything you name it, backend. Yeah, I oversee everyone. Obviously, I'm not doing it alone, right? I have like my lieutenants, I have all my leads, and they are like dealing with the more specific issues. But yeah, I'm trying to coordinate this bunch of people and try to make it all come together so that the product is
How
perfect.
stressful is this job?
Enough.
Enough. Okay.
Stressful enough. Depends on the day.
Okay.
There
Okay.
are good
Okay.
days, there are bad days. QA dictates that. The community dictates that.
Yeah.
If
So please, guys, take it easy.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you
No,
know.
no, 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 no. We need to know the stuff. Don't tell them to, they,
Yeah.
they
I mean,
shouldn't
like,
slow down.
provide feedback, but maybe don't go, super hard on us sometimes because it can get a little bit stressful.
Yeah.
But Johanny, what kind of games did you work on?
Yes. Well, I have like about 10 years of game dev behind me. I started in Ubisoft in Paris. I worked on some chill mobile game that was called Rabbids Heroes. Made a completely failed, collapsed in less than a month
Not your
after.
fault, I assume.
The tech was good.
Okay, okay, okay.
The design was, no market. Then I worked on Just Dance for some time. So, very different community than we have here, probably. I don't think there's too much overlap between these two games. And then I moved to Czech Republic, joined Bohemia Interactive, and worked on the game Vigor for 4 years. Right. So
Nice. Here in
yeah,
Brno.
yeah, here in Brno.
Nice. Right.
And
Well, let me just say that we're glad to have you.
I'm glad to be here too.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, 2 years ago, Mara was, poached me. He was telling me that I should come make some better game. That Vigor is reaching the end of its
That
life.
sounds like Mara. Very
Yeah.
not diplomatic.
And he was right.
Okay.
So yeah,
All right.
that's
Cool.
roughly what I did.
So we're talking with somebody who obviously knows what they're doing. I think that was important to establish that because now we're getting into the thick of it.
Yes, I did sit in the BI tank.
Oh, you did?
There was a question.
Oh, okay,
Sorry, I
okay.
had to answer this one so we can, get it out of the way.
Okay. By the way, we are going to try to answer all your questions. I assume that there's going to be plenty because optimization and performance is obviously something that is a big topic for us and a
Yeah.
big priority.
Yeah.
And so let me just start by asking, what the hell is even an optimization process?
Right. So yeah, optimizing. I mean, I can put it very easily. Essentially, the game is doing something, and we just want the game to do the exact same thing, but faster, right? So the goal is that we take nothing out of the experience, and it should run faster on the hardware. And then there is like million ways to do it because there's so many different techniques, so many different ways to optimize something, right? So I can give maybe some examples, but like, typical rendering issue is if you render too much triangles, right? But like most of the triangles in the scene are actually not visible at any time, right? So this is classic. So via culling, you will get rid of all triangles that are not in the scene, send that to the GPU. That's much less work for the GPU to do. It's quicker. Impact on the experience is zero, but it's much quicker.
Nice.
Right? And essentially that's an optimization.
Are there some challenges specifically for a game like Grayzone Warfare?
Yeah, definitely. The biggest challenge we have with Grayzone is that the scale of the game, right? It's an open world, it's multiplayer, and just these two things means that the scale of your problems are much higher, right? You need to constantly think of there's 50 characters on the map, 50 players, right? And there is a 1,000 AI minimum on the map, right? And then you have all the problems that come with the fact that it's an open world. It should be seamless. You should be able to move around. All of this should be networked. So, that's number one problem is the scale.
And what about the Unreal Engine? I know that we don't really want to get super deep into it because this can be a little bit of a touchy subject. But what it's like to work with Unreal Engine?
Well, it depends. If you ask artists, they love it, right?
Yeah.
The tools are great, the workflows are amazing, like they've been refined for years, and it's like very easy to drop an asset in the Unreal Engine, have it rendered. Because of all the default things you have, like Lumen and Nanite, it will look good without much effort. So yeah, artists are loving Unreal Engine. For programmers,
Different story.
it can be different.
Okay. Can be.
You know, like if you stick to the basics, make a small game, it will be running very fine, very, you know, no efforts. But like for a game like Greyzone, because of the scale, you have big problems, right? We shouldn't forget that Unreal Engine is a general purpose engine, but ultimately each game is very special, right? So it means that we have to take away some of the genericity of the engine, because usually the fact that some stuff are slow is because the engine is doing things we don't need, right? So we constantly have to look into the engine, find the things we are not using that we can turn off or get
Essentially,
rid
like,
of.
can I switch this off without ruining the experience?
Kind of.
Kind of. Okay.
Kind of. What happens if I touch this? QA is saying we're crashing every 2 minutes. Not a good idea. Let's
So,
turn it on.
I assume that there is a close cooperation between you and QA, right?
Oh yeah, like definitely. Yeah, like QA is speaking to me every day. I speak to them every day. We have like a very, you know, flowing communication with them. Yes.
How is it working with Jacek?
Well, he's a good guy. Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, you're saying something that people that watch these streams probably already know.
Yeah. You know, like now we have this bubble of like, you know, this is the Matt Finger movie. So of course we go along.
Yeah. I wanted to ask specifically about the aspect of our work, which is called Scala, right?
Yes.
Can you explain to the folks watching
Okay,
what
yeah.
is Scala?
So on top of the Unreal Engine, another technology that we're licensing is called Skalla. These guys are used to work for Madfinger, but they decided to make like their own tech, and essentially we decided to license their tech. So we are working really closely with them, right? And Scala allows us to do things that we wouldn't be able to do with just the Unreal Engine, right? The fact we can render the map and have almost an infinite, you know, vision, or like that we can render the map almost to infinity. This is thanks to Scala, right? The fact that we can have vegetation so far away, the fact that when you use a scope, the grass is still there. That's thanks to Scala.
Okay.
Right. So this.
So they're making your life easier, not more difficult.
No, definitely not. Like they're solving tons of problems, right? There are instances where, you know, Scala has issues. Like the most common thing we have with Scala is that whenever like they are pushing for very high-tech optimization on the rendering usually, and sometimes because we don't understand fully all the code of the Unreal Engine and we have to modify it, sometimes it backfires, right? So we can introduce sometimes stability issues. Usually we are able to catch them before they reach players. Thanks to QA, thanks to playtest, thanks to experimental. Experimental is super important for us because there is like so many issues that are like 1% or sub 1%, and we can't catch them all, right? So we do experimental so that we have more data to look at. It's being tested on more computers that have different set specs, and this is really important for us.
This is a perfect opportunity for me to mention that we are going to be talking about the experimental towards the end of the stream or the first part of the stream, and we're going to tell you exactly how to enter and help us test the game 0.3 Winds of War. Michael is going to tell you everything there is to know about the experimental in a short while.
Yeah, I can't say much, but I can say that you want to be part of it.
Yes, yes, and we want you to be part of it because we need your help.
Yeah. There's too much good stuff coming in.
That is true. That is
insane.
True. Can you tell me a little bit more about like what are generally the phases of optimization?
Yes. Yeah. So like we focus on optimization all the time, right? Like people want me to say, oh no, we don't optimize ever, and then we just do it at the end. And this is true for most games, but because of the scale we have to pay attention to optimization constantly, right? We have to look at the performance of the game constantly, and not just like how fast is it rendering, because this is just one facet of it, but we also have like, we need to keep a constant look at servers also, and how fast things are running on the server. So yeah, what we do is that we have benchmarks that we run nightly, or even sometimes more than that, and we run it on various hardware, and then we can keep a close eye on the performance, and really easily backtrack any problem we might have or regression we might have introduced to performance, right? So it runs every night, and then every morning it tells us, yes, the game runs as fast as it was yesterday, or no, it runs slower today. And we have some, it notifies us, and we can directly look into the cause, and it's much easier this way than waiting for the finish line, right?
So I'm assuming that you have a bunch of monitoring tools as well to see what exactly is happening at all times, right?
Yeah, well, pretty much, yeah.
I think that
it's
you
part
also
of our
yeah.
suite of tools that we have for the project.
I know that you brought a bunch of screenshots that I mean
Yes.
I was looking at them and I didn't know what I'm looking at. So like they're going there's going to be when these things appear on the screen, I will ask you what the hell we're looking at. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. One other question, I think that you already kind of like talked about it a little bit, but maybe you can talk about it a little bit more, and that is what are the main challenges when optimizing the game for different hardwares, basically?
Yes. Well, like the main challenge with PC games is that it's unlike consoles, which are much easier because the hardware is set. It runs the same almost, if you run the same content, it will run roughly the same, right? There is like very little run-to-run variance. On PC, it's not true. PC is like, it's a system that's not primarily made for gaming. So on top of just running the game, it runs like a million other things in the background. We usually tend to, just stop them on the benchmark machines. We don't want that. And on top of that, every single GPU, every single PC in the world, or almost, are using different components, different Windows version, different driver versions, right? So there is a combination, explosion of combination of all the PCs that can potentially exist, and we cannot optimize for every single of them, right? Each GPU vendor has different, like they're building their chip differently, which means that the certain computation are slower, certain computation are faster, right? And getting down to all those things takes time, right?
And how does software affect this? Because I know that some of the guys are running some third-party things, and it is creating a bunch of problems.
Well, if you're encoding a video while your game is running, it's taking almost all the CPU resources that the machine has to offer. So obviously it will have a very drastic impact on the game, right? So yeah, a good thing is to, try to have as few things running in the background as possible. That's obvious, right? But yeah.
Okay.
Encoding, decoding videos is heavy.
Yeah.
Right? So even just watching a stream while you're gaming has an impact on the performance of the game, right?
Right.
But I don't want to say like this, because you're watching streams, the game is slow. It's not true.
Okay. I wanted to ask, can you maybe name some specific example where you believe that you did a great job?
Well, me personally, probably not, but the team.
The team, of course.
I have like plenty of example. I think the first one I would like to discuss is the rubber banding. When we launched in 01, ultimately, we had a lot of rubber banding. There was like a frequent complaint that the players had, right? And I would like to shed maybe a bit of light.
Can you maybe explain what rubber banding actually is? How it looks like when players experience it?
Yeah. So essentially, as a player, you're moving your character around the world, and because our game is server authoritative, everything you do has to be validated by the server. This is like part of the security of the game. The server validates everything because players cannot tamper with the server, right? So if we make it server authoritative, it's very secure, and it means that the player cannot cheat the rules of the game, right? And rubber banding is a consequence of that, that if the server is not running as fast as it should, you will send data to the server that you want to move to a specific location, but the server will be slow to process that.
Right.
So you will move on your client because we predict that the server will say, okay, but actually the server will not say, okay, and then you will go back in time, right? And this is rubber banding, right?
Yeah.
So we had this for a long time on our production servers, and we managed to solve it. The picture you're seeing at the moment is the proof that things are running fine. Each green line you see is actually one server running, and the lines are composed of bars, and green means that the server is running on target frame rate, and target frame rate means there's no rubber bending, right? And this was a huge effort because before we did those optimization on the servers, they would be running poorly. They would go into red territory, and yes, essentially it would cause rubber bending. So this was like one of the big focus. This is something we didn't. It looks like a Grafana dashboard. It is a Grafana dashboard. Grafana is very cool. Yeah, and one thing we couldn't test when we did this, when we first did 0.1, is that servers, when they are running on the servers are running on the same machine, right? And they are sharing the CPU. And we did test the full scale of one server on one machine, but we didn't have time to test many servers on one machine, or like having all the servers on one machine completely loaded by players, which is something that happened really quickly when we launched because we had like so many players. And this means that they were competing for the CPU, and this slowed down them across the board. How did we fix it? Well, essentially, to fix that, we need to have 500 players playing, which is not realistic. We don't even have 500 people in the company. So what we did is that we implemented a fake client that connects to the servers and emulate a player. So it's like essentially moving around, shooting, and just, triggering actions that players would usually trigger. And then we can start 500 of them using the cloud and profile what happens on the server. And then we could find all the bottlenecks that happen that were slowing down the server and fixing all of that, right?
Okay. I think that we can say here, well done.
Yes.
Because I remember those times where I saw the exact things that you were talking about, with my own eyes. And now whenever I play the game, it's no longer there. So
It's rock solid.
I mean, these green lines or whatever I'm looking at, they seem to be correct, I guess.
And you know what? It's very funny because like rubber banding disappeared during 0.1 when players starting play different games, right? Not ours. And we were very anxious when we released 0.2 that it would come back, because there would be suddenly a peak of players, all of them on the servers, and that the issue would come back. But thanks to the magnificent job that the team did, no one cared. No one realized that it could have been back, and it wasn't. So yeah.
Well, once again,
GG team.
GG, GG. There was one other thing, and this is an anecdote because I heard it not from you, but I heard it that you apparently said that people were asking how is it possible that with the recent patch, the bodies are staying for even though you die on your corpse run, and they stay for an hour, and it is not being like noticeable on the performance.
Yes.
And people were asking you how is that possible, and is it true that you said it's possible because we coded right?
Well, yeah.
Well,
I stand by what I said.
Okay. Okay.
I can go into the details, but essentially, as I was saying earlier, what is an optimization? It's avoiding doing some work that you don't need to do.
Yeah.
It's finding the tricks you can do to like not compromise the experience, but at the same time not let the hardware do some work that doesn't need to do.
Okay.
Right? And in this case, one of the tricks is just that the dead body is like, ragdolling. It's like physicalized and it's like moving when it dies. But like once it settles into a position, we completely freeze the body, right? So it's not moving, it's not reacting to anything.
It's part of the world.
Yes. And thanks to that, it's like as cheap to render as a chair, right? It's just like a bunch of triangles on the GPU, but it's like not a big amount of them. So all the costs you would pay normally, when we speak about optimization and performance, we usually call it the cost of running something, right? So the cost of having all those dead bodies is close to zero, because in the end we freeze the physics, so it's not moving anymore, and we also freeze the animation, right? So because of that, we can have tons of dead bodies, and it's just a bit more triangles to render, but inconsequential, right?
Gotcha. Well, another job well done, I might add.
Yeah.
And
Good job, team.
and I think that we're getting to a very important question, right? And that is 0.3.
Yes.
we revealed already that the update 0.3 Winds of War coming
Yeah.
later this year, Q2 actually, I think we can be more specific like that, is introducing a weather system.
Yes.
And we showed off a bunch of, the different weathers in the
Yeah.
game. And the number one concern that the players have is, how is this going to affect my performance?
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit more about that?
Sure. Well, the first thing is that you're right to be concerned. It's, it's ambitious visually, and it means that we are bringing like a new cost to the rendering of the game. Obviously, we're like looking a lot into it. We have all our tools to do that. So like we have those benchmarks that we're running nightly, and this tells us if we are doing well or not, right? But like it's difficult to add new rendering effects without dropping the cost. So how do we proceed with this? Well, we profile a lot. We optimize what we see. We find one example is that, for instance, rendering the landscape currently in our game is expensive, right? Even in 0.2, even in the current live version, it is expensive. So, we're adding all these effects like the rain and the wetness and everything. And in exchange, we will be optimizing those systems as much as we can. But on top of that, we will go to existing systems that are part of the current rendering pipeline and finding ways to make them faster. So we will essentially make some space on the GPU to accommodate the new features. So ideally, same performance, better visuals.
Okay, I think that that's that question answered. I think that we might invite you here towards the end of the development cycle, just before we release 0.3, and maybe we can make sure that what you just described actually happened. So thank you for that.
Yeah, no problem.
And yeah, I think that you also wanted to tease something about a scalability.
Yes. Another thing that we are looking into, and this is probably not for 0.3, right? But there is like we have a big concern, or like, there's something on my mind.
Okay. Well,
And
good.
that's the fact that older GPUs are running poorly on our game, right? And this is not a problem so much with performance, but it's a problem with scalability. It means that some of our rendering features are not running as fast as they could. And as a result, we have pictures of the benchmarks I was mentioning. That's very cool. I can speak a bit more after. So essentially, what we will be looking at, and we have like a strike team dedicated to it. I don't think it will pay off for 0.3, but we will make sure that it definitely comes before the next major update, right? And that's that we want to make the game scale to lower end hardware. So we'll be introducing more drastic visual cuts, right? Calculated, so that the game can run on lower
Smoothly.
end hardware. Yes.
Okay, so I think the exciting news also for those of you that are on the lower end PCs are looking forward to playing Grey Zone Warfare, but had technical issues up until now. So once again, I will just mention, maybe not 0.3, but
Big
0.4.
disclaimers, like I'm probably going to be killed tomorrow in the office, for saying that so early.
All right, I think you wanted to explain what we're looking at here.
Yes, so I was mentioning that we have our benchmarks, and this is example of like one of the result of the benchmarks we are running. So you can see that we have each row is a camera in the world, so we are moving the character in different locations, and then we record all the performance metrics. So you can see that this test is on 3060, and you can see that our target frame rate for the 3060 is 60 FPS at 1080p. And essentially you can see that in the base camp with the cameras that we are seeing now, and at different time of the day. So this is also how we are benchmarking. We're benchmarking per location, we're benchmarking per time of day, because each time of day is using different effects, so each of them has a different cost, right? And you can see that, so we are essentially testing all these things programmatically with those benchmarks. And you can easily guess that that's exactly what we're doing with the weather, right? Because we have different types of weather that is coming. I will not say exactly which one. And essentially we will be having, those benchmarks will move the character to all these different places, change the time of day, change the weather, record all the performance metrics, and then compile a result for us to look at, so we can easily pinpoint which locations, which weather needs to be looked at. Right?
Gotcha.
And then, because it's a PC game, we do this on different hardware. So we have different benchmark machines, and each of them has a different GPU. We're testing on all GPU vendors, all CPU vendors, and different generations, and also different strength of hardware. Right?
Okay.
And as time goes, we're buying more machines and fleshing those benchmarks more to have, a bigger overview of how the game performs on very different hardware.
Understood. All right. Well, thank you. My head is like a balloon now.
Okay. I had the last thing.
Okay, go ahead.
We're
going to be answering some questions as well, so
Oh,
just
yeah,
don't
right,
run away.
okay.
Okay.
Yes. Maybe it's time to put that image that we prepared where we had the performance of 0.2 from those benchmark machines. Right.
Even bigger
No,
spreadsheet?
the one before, the one that's called 5.3. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So obviously, when we are not running on budget, when we are not running, like the machine is not running on the target frame rate, this is how it looks in our performance report, right? So you can see that we can see which part of the game is slower. It can be the CPU, it can be the GPU, and we can see how many frames are being dropped, right? So we look at those things. We just basically look at the red place, go there, find what's happening, and fix it, right? So this is the build this is the version of the game that was 0.1, the latest 0.1, right? And what we did, we added night hops, right? And now you can switch to the second screenshot. And this is how it looked like. This is how it looks like.
This is how a
currently.
good job well done looks like.
Yeah. I'm a fan of green. Right?
Yeah.
I think there's a theme in this, stream. And this is 0.2, right? So I cannot tell you that we will be 100% successful with optimizing the weather to the point that there will be no impact on performance when we launch it. I can promise that we'll work really hard on the problem. We have the right tools. We just, now it's just we have to grind.
We have to grind. Yes.
But we did it in the past. We did it for 0.2. It was not green. It looked at some point quite bleak, the situation, and we managed to turn it around, and we hope that we will be able to do the same thing again.
Yeah, I think that everybody hopes that we will be able to do the same. I think that now is a great time to answer some of those questions, because I have seen a bunch of them already, and our lovely community manager Veronica is putting everything that is worth answering into a special doc. And I can see here already, Die Delta is asking when FSR4 support.
Funny you would mention that, because we are working with AMD to bring FSR4 to the game. Currently, we're really, really early in the integration process. And I cannot promise that it will be here for 0.3, but this is definitely our target, right? So we want FSR4 to be in 0.3. Time will tell if we will manage. These upscalers are not as easy as you just drop it and it works, right? Sometimes you put it in the game and you start noticing that the AI model, is not reacting really well to certain types of content, right? That is specific to our game. So then we have to have a discussion with AMD. We report these issues to them. They help us figure out. Sometimes the issues is on our side. We fix it. Sometimes they are making the fixes and they're sending us back like some new DLLs that we can integrate into the game. And so.
And what about the cooperation with Nvidia?
Same thing. Like we have like I'm speaking with them. I wouldn't say constantly, but I'm speaking with them a lot, right? Both AMD and Nvidia, and Intel, right? We have contacts with them, and we can exchange with them. We can report issues. They can tell us things. They can send us some, earlier versions of the upscalers, and we can.
Which one do you like more? Don't answer that. Don't answer.
Well, it depends on your GPU, right?
Of course.
Yes, and same deal as for FSR4. We hope to have DLSS4 also natively integrated into our game. You know that it currently is available, like you can switch to the new model thanks to the Nvidia app. So this is something that Nvidia did for us actually, right? Like they didn't even ask us, they just did it. So this is how good the cooperation with them is. And
I guess we know who you like more.
hey, I didn't say that. They did it for us, right?
Right.
Okay. And essentially what we want to do is that now you won't have to go into the Nvidia app to be able to use DLSS4. You will be able to switch it directly from the in-game settings, right? So, yeah.
Nice. Here is another question. You spoke, or where was it? Can we expect a big jump in optimization? Joking is asking. I think that if we do our job well, then no, because we're adding more advanced stuff with the 0.3, right?
Yeah. Like
But,
our goal with each update is that the performance will be equal or better. But definitely with this one, we are aiming for equal because the weather will be so, beautiful.
Yeah.
That doing better, if we do better, I'm going to be mind blown.
Okay. Okay. So Castanavia is asking, speaking of render distance, are there any plans of increasing the render distance for players or AI?
No.
No. Okay. Well, easy to answer. Why Spectre 13 plays says, why is my CPU always stupid hot?
Because we know how to use it.
Okay.
Maybe I can go more into the details, right? But like, if you use a CPU correctly, it's going to be hot, right? Because the more if the CPU is not hot, it means that the CPU is not calculating as much as it can. So and essentially optimizing can also be that you will be able to use all the cores that the CPU has to offer in a more optimal way. And actually, thanks to Scala, we are able to use the CPU cores quite well, right? So this is one of the reasons why the CPUs can be running a bit hot, but this is not usually a problem.
Spectre, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay. Controller support, is that even your field? I don't think so, right?
Not yet.
Okay, any questions for Johanny? These are more for the game designers already.
Yeah.
Guys, I think that this was extremely interesting. Although I obviously don't understand much of it.
I hope it was like
no, it was
4 years old enough.
Yes.
Maybe a good sidetrack.
But I think that this is a good first step, and it would be really nice for you to return to the stream and tell us like this is what we want to do. We want to introduce 0.3.
Now I did a bunch of promises.
Yes.
Now I'm gonna go back to the team, and they're gonna be like, "What have you done?"
Yeah, and hopefully before we launch 0.3, you will be back, and maybe people are going to be very happy about the changes, or there's going to be some lynching here.
Update looks great. We will do a hell of a job on the performance as much as we can, and I hope nothing will come and spoil. My number one goal with my position. Let's go back to your first question. I just want the game to be a technical success. I don't want the tech to hold back anything that the designers are thinking about, and I think that's a great transition to.
That is a perfect transition, and thank you for that. It shows that you were around for some dev streams. So, Johanny, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure.